When you are living with chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia, there is a type of fatigue that no one can really understand. And it's not a kind of tiredness where maybe you had just a sleepless night and you need a good sleep. It's heavy, a deep exhaustion that makes you feel that your limbs are like lead. It's a brain fog that feels so heavy that you can't even think of a simple words or name something that usually you can name easily. It feels less like tiredness, but more like paralysis. It leaves you frustrated with yourself. And you think, why can't I just get up? Sometimes even lift a finger. Why can I just force myself to do that? But as a doctor who experienced that myself, having been in bed at some point with ME CFS, I want you to understand that this is not about laziness, not at all. You're not lazy. And it's not about a willpower as well. What you're feeling is your nervous system being stuck in what we call a freeze state. It's your brain basically turn off the whole system and send it in a shutdown mode. And this is a way to preserve your energy. The brain thinks it's helping, but it's not. If you are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Dr. Selma. I'm a former NHS doctor who currently support women who are suffering with chronic unexplained symptoms or conditions like ME CFS, fibromyalgia, or migraines. And today we are looking to what's happening inside your body when you fall outside the window of tolerance that we covered in the last video. If you haven't watched it, you can watch it first and then come back to this video. And also why your system gets stuck in survival state. So if you remember from last week where we covered the window of tolerance and how the 4 loads keep shrinking that window of tolerance slowly at the background until it becomes a really narrow, and then things that you used to tolerate, you're not anymore. And sometimes it's only the smallest daily stressor that it pushes you outside of the zone quickly. Remember when we said that within the window with capacity, so we call the safety mode, where your body can recover, rest, digest, and you can tolerate and you're resilient in terms of the daily stressors. However, when we are outside that zone, our nervous system might sometimes get stuck in what we call the survival mode. And it doesn't care about your duties or to-do lists or whatever you've got on the list, because its only job is to protect you. The nervous system in those states is trying to protect you to survive. And to protect you, your nervous system can go into 2 ways. Way up to high alert, or we call it hyper-arousal state, or a way down, which is hypo-arousal state, as you can see on the diagram. When your system gets pushed towards the hyper-arousal state, or what we call the fight or the flight state, you experience that like being wired but tired, feeling sometimes that your heart is racing, your breath is shallow, and there is this anxiety sometimes that's creeping in. It might be rage or anger, so this is specific for the fight. And then for a flight, it might be anxiety, it might be eating disorder or addictions. And there is that urgency. Then you have actually in that stage, usually you've got a little bit of energy to do things, even if it's very low, but you might overdo it during that stage. In that state, the body is actually thinking that it's getting you away from the threats. So it keeps pouring stress hormones like adrenaline or cortisol into your system, and the system stays in that high alert state. And there is nothing wrong with that. We talked about that in the previous video. There is nothing wrong with being in the survival state. It's actually, we need that if there is acute stress. For example, if you're sitting and there is, I don't know, a lion appearing coming towards you. So we need that survival state, the system. You don't stay there thinking, oh, from where did it come? And, start thinking like, oh, maybe it's hungry. Will it attack me or not? Usually your system, the thinking brain is off. So it's your emotional brain and survival brain that takes over. And then your body will quickly decide whether to run, like flight or fight, if it's maybe a small danger, or sometimes it goes to the other state, which is hypoarousal, which we will talk about just in a few minutes. So there is nothing with that if it's an acute stress, right? But the issues start usually when the danger is not here anymore, but your body is reacting as if the danger is here. And this is where the issues start usually. And this is where, with time, we start experiencing those chronic unexplained symptoms and other symptoms. Because our bodies, for human beings, they are not designed to be in a survival state all the time. We should, like the normal, like we should go up, let's say, to the hyperarousal state, but bounce back, as we saw in like bounce back towards that window of tolerance. But when we get stuck there for a long time, this is what we call chronic stress. And chronic stress, we all know what's the damage of it and how high. Maybe we should cover that in another video, how high hormone stress, how does it impact the whole system? So if we go back to the hyperarousal state, when we get stuck there, is that the body constantly thinks that there is a danger, even if there is no danger. It's like constantly trying to protect you from a perceived threat. And then there is the hypoarousal state. Hypoarousal state is sometimes when the nervous system gets in an overwhelmed state, it gets too much. It can't be in a fight or flight forever because it's too much. Then it hit what we call the brake, the emergency brake, and it goes to the freeze mode or shutting down or protective mode. When the load is too heavy for too long, then your brain hits the emergency brake. And this is the shutdown or freeze mode. And freeze mode, it can be disconnection, like from reality, like your body is here, but your mind is outside. It can be depression. It can be chronic fatigue. You know, those crushes that put you in bed, that you feel it within yourself. Like I've worked with a lot of clients, they describe it as my body is shutting down. And this is the freeze mode. It's a profound fatigue or that brain fog where you can't even think of the words because the system is closed. And this is also like playing the dead. That happens to the animals because animals also have this survival state. Is playing dead is like that paralysis in the body that you know you're not paralyzed, but you can't move your body. And this is because your brain at that point believes that it's the safest way is to protect you. It's to shut down everything right now. In chronic unexplained symptoms or conditions like ME, CFS, or fibromyalgia, your nervous system gets stuck in a survival state. And sometimes, most of the time, is switch between the fight and the flight and the freeze. So you get a little bit, so you are wired and tired, you've got a little bit of energy. Maybe you go and spend it on a few things. And sometimes you don't even do that, just that mental load. And we can talk about different types of fatigue in another video. And then you move to the freeze. So it's between fight and flight and freeze. And then you stay freeze, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days, sometimes for weeks. And then your body tries to get you out and then back. So it's between tired and wired and crashing. And that state keeps sending signals to your brain that we are in danger. Your brain truly believes that there is a real threat around, even if there isn't. When you are stuck in survival state, when you say survival state, so fight and flight or freeze, your body diverts the blood from the digestion because it's not urgent to digest. So it diverts the blood to the limbs and to the muscles to start to take action. And if that blood is diverted, that's why most people with an CFS or chronic unexplained symptoms, they would experience digestive issues, chronic digestive issues, because the blood is diverted to the muscles to start taking action to help you survive that threat, even if it's perceived. And also, that's one of the reasons why you can't sleep properly, because your body believes that, or your brain believes that there is an acute danger. So how can you sleep if there is a lion around? And also being stuck in survival state, it leads, as we said before, to increased stress hormones. And that impacts in a long term your immune system as well. You might experience frequent infections, chronic inflammation as a result of that. So your symptoms are the output of a system that's chronically stuck in a survival state and trapped in a defense mode. And you can't heal by fighting those symptoms, because if you're fighting them, and we covered that in the first video, I think, if you are fighting them, again, the brain will perceive that as danger. And then again, we get stuck in that, and then it will send you more symptoms, and the loop keep coming back over and over again. So the way out to heal, we can't heal if we are stuck in survival state, fight and flight or freeze. We can't heal there, because as we said, the energy is diverted to take action or to protect you rather than for the healing. The place where we heal is that safe place. Remember the window of tolerance, where it's where you can tolerate things. This is where the healing and the recovery, we call it rest and digest state. This is where the healing happens. And we need to show the nervous system, not by talking. There are tools, we will be covering that in this channel with time, how to send signals to my brain that actually it is safe right now, so that the nervous system drop down in the safety zone, and then the healing will happen. So we can't heal if we are stuck in survival mode. We will only heal and recover if we are in a safety zone. If your blood tests keep coming back normal while your body is screaming in chronic unexplained symptoms, I've created a guide called Your Tests Are Normal, but Your Body Says Otherwise. It's a guide that I wished I had when I was stuck with my chronic conditions and chronic unexplained symptoms. And it will help you understand what's happening inside your body, the energy leaks, and also the personality patterns that keep you stuck. And you can find a copy below in the description box. If you find this video useful, please share it with people that might benefit from it, and subscribe so you don't miss the upcoming videos. I'll see you there.